Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn all the most efficient ways to grow their firms, sharpen their skills, and have consistent increasing sales. We cover topics from how to not be salesy, pushy, annoying, a nag, harassing to your prospects and clients, finding your ideal client, increasing sales, and really putting up boundaries so you only work with clients who you truly want to work with, and stop donating your time away for free and start actually getting paid for the worth that you deliver to your clients. You'll learn sales strategies, sales tips, as well as hear from other successful accounting professionals in the industry. This podcast will show you step by step the path so you can create a firm and a life of your dreams full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Our special guest has helped over 1,000 firm owners start their businesses. In that time, he's also created programs to address every aspect of running an accounting firm and helped author the book called Red to Black, which is a guide for accountants to help their clients with the most common challenges faced in business, cash flow, and in the black, the 9 principles to make your business profitable. So if you're a firm owner, we do talk about that today in our episode because there's a great maybe tactic that he recommends to figure out what keeps you up at night. Where do you need to make yourself more efficient? So today, before we bring our special guest onto the show, I do want to share that as a tax and accounting professional, I know that a lot of you are completely sick of grinding 14 hours a day and sacrificing time with your family and friends and postponing vacations. And to be honest, this vicious cycle that you might be in, it's really not your fault. I know that there's really nobody training on really how to fix these problems, how to work just 6 or 8 hours a day, how to leave at 4 or 5 o'clock so you have dinner with your family, and how to go on tax season vacations. Yeah, vacation during tax season. And if that's really what you want, then here's what I have for you. If you want to step up and take full control of your firm's profitability and double your revenue with ease, my team and I have set aside the next 48 hours to speak to some of you personally about how you can really apply some of these ideas that we're going to talk about today in our episode, but also how do you start charging premium fees to your clients? How do you get the clients to appreciate you for the value that you offer and provide and finally get paid your worth? Because it is possible. And if that's you, then head on over to theabundantcall.com and book your call with myself or my teammate Denise. Because whatever your biggest challenges are, trust me, we've seen it and we know how to overcome it. So head on over to theabundantcall.com, pick the first spot that you see. We have been slightly busy lately, but we'll make space for you. If you don't see something on the calendar, then send an email to hello@thepitchqueen.com. But now let's welcome our very special guest, Roger, to the show. Welcome, Roger, to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yes, this will be fun. And I've done your bio, but just so everyone can hear who you are and what you do, can you share with the listeners, your 60-second pitch about what it is that you do and how you help accounting and tax firm owners?
Happy to. Basically, I work with accounting firm owners, helping them start and build their accounting business, offering quality accounting services and getting paid what they're worth, essentially building the premier accounting firm in their area. So we offer training, certifications, coaching, and support to accounting professionals to accomplish exactly that.
Awesome. Cool. Well, very excited to have you here. Today we are talking about the different strategies that you have that you've implemented with other firm owners. So having confidence in competence for the firm owners. And also I'd love to go through the difference about what confidence means and what competence means and how they go hand in hand. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So again, thank you for being here. And Roger, to start out, why don't we start out with the definitions of the differences between those two words for anybody who might be slightly confused and how they go
Certainly.
together?
You bet. So, over 20 years of working with accounting professionals, I've been repeatedly asked, is there a secret to being successful? What's the difference between someone who's having a thriving business offering quality accounting services and someone who's struggling to either grow the business or be successful? And over the years, I've really narrowed it down to two key elements or characteristics. The first being confidence, as you mentioned. Confidence is literally that ability to look a business owner in the eye and simply say, I can take care of your accounting needs. And that way may range from a variety of things depending upon the services you're choosing to offer. So it could involve the bookkeeping services you're providing to produce the financial reports. It could literally be the tax saving and planning advice that you're providing to the client as you're planning and preparing their returns. It could be the advisory services that you're providing. It doesn't really matter, but it's the confidence to look to the business owner as a peer and say that I can take care of your needs. Now, the second part of that is then the competence. And so I'm not so much challenging the ability to produce quality reports and do the work effectively, legally, and so forth. What I'm referring to is the competence to do the work efficiently. So rather than taking 10, 15, 20 hours to do a 5-minute or a 5-hour job, what we're talking about is you have within your business systems, processes to ensure that as you're doing the work, it's basically repetitive. There are redundancies so that you're able to ensure that the quality is there. And it's through that efficiency that you're able to ensure that each of the clients are receiving the same quality of work, but you're also able to then grow the business and put in people to implement those processes and ensure that the same results are coming out on the back end. So that competence ensures that that system's being followed and you're doing the work efficiently and then obviously profitably.
I think, I guess in your years, how what have you seen the firms that are not profitable doing? Like what do you see consistently? Obviously, you can see what success has meant for people and the secret to being successful, and you've narrowed it down to these two characteristics. What do you think the firm owners that are not profitable that you run into are, doing wrong in the competence department and the confidence department?
Yeah, so I'll give you a real obvious example that I've found many a times is I find people grow their business, and whether it's they're working too many nights and weekends or they're just kind of overwhelmed, they're just not really enjoying the satisfaction of running their business. So they've got clients, they're getting paid well, but they seem to be overwhelmed. And so one of the frustrations that I first run into is the fact that they're not efficient. And oftentimes it's because they've not gone through the process of actually documenting what happens in the business. They can't delegate very well. And so they're struggling because of maybe the client relations that they have, presuming that the clients expect that they work directly with them and only them rather than their staff, perhaps. And so they're becoming their own bottlenecks. And really the confidence isn't the issue. They're growing the business. They have the clients. It's the competence where they struggle in this scenario, where obviously if they could just find a way to systemize what's going on, delegate a little bit better, but also leverage technology and utilize what's really being produced out there today for the accounting profession, all these different tools and resources to automate processes. And in that, you're still charging the same fee for the work, but now you've gone from, let's say, an average of 10 hours per client to take care of their bookkeeping and accounting needs. You've now found ways to leverage your time, and you're doing it in 8 hours, 7 hours. And really the excitement comes from how can I do this work more efficiently and really whittle away at what the time commitment is per client, still charging the same amount, but now my profit is going up per hour for the work that I'm doing already for the client. I'm happier. I'm not working the weekends and nights. I'm not feeling that stress and overwhelm. And that's really an indication of I've got the clients I want. I'm doing the services that I like and enjoy, but I'm finally now figuring out how to do it efficiently, and therefore it results in greater profits. So that's a common story that I experience as people share with me some of the challenges they're facing. And I think a lot of people may be able to relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot can. And I'd love to hear like a case study, if you have one, of a firm owner that, was working too many nights and weekends, feeling overwhelmed? And also, what steps did they take in order to address the second part, which is competence, to do the work efficiently? And what did they implement to make that happen that ended up having them increase their revenue and their sales and become more profitable?
Great question. So I'm going to give you a good telltale case study of one of the things I experienced, and it's a common one, but the story is very simple. Working with an individual that was
Let's make
afraid
up a
of.
name.
Yep, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
It's going to be Sherry for this story. All
Okay,
right.
Sherry.
So
What happened to
so
Sherry?
so Sherry was intimidated by technology. She felt that she was very good at what she's done. She liked doing the work. She enjoyed doing the accounting and bookkeeping, but really felt that technology was going to eliminate her position. And one of the challenges that she was facing is that she was still charging hourly. Therefore, there was no incentive to systematize and reduce the workload per client, because in her mind, working more efficiently could mean I'm now charging less per client because I'm doing less for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first challenge was to help her realize that there's a better way to price her services. And so we first had to tackle that issue. Now it gave her permission to become more efficient because she saw that I can still charge the same fee that I'm charging typically to my client, but now I'm motivated to actually do the work more efficiently, quickly. Now she's excited about systems and delegation. But then the next thing was her fear of technology was eliminated. She started to see then that these tech stacks, as we refer to them, could actually be to her benefit. And all of a sudden, she started to realize that these things were going to simplify her job and allow her to get away from more of the recording of transactions and the reconciliations and move more into the analysis and build relationships with their clients. And in the end, what it did is it eliminated a lot of the things that she kind of held on to because she thought that's what she enjoyed doing, and really freed her to leverage her experience, her perception and perspective that she could bring to her clients. And now all of a sudden, if you look back it took over a year to do this. I don't want to imply this is an overnight success. It took her over a year, but she was able to transition her clients, and in that transition, free up her time, become more efficient. And ultimately, it allowed her to become more involved with her clients at more of an advisory level and doing more analysis than doing the actual transactions and preparing the reports. And so her job satisfaction, if we want to refer to it as that, went up, and her earnings went up substantially because now she's moved away from this old chaotic way of charging hourly to something a lot more liberating. And she really, I think at the end, saw that it was kind of fun to figure out how can I leverage technology and tools to basically free up my time and yet still charge the same amount for the services I'm providing. So there's definitely some clear steps she took, and I can share this story over and over and over again as people have just kind of embraced technology and opened up the fact that they do have experience, and through that experience have the ability to do more with their clients than just the compliance work. And that's where it started to make sense for her.
Yeah, and I'm not a firm owner, but I was at an event where we saw each other at, and intimidated by technology. I get it. I was intimidated by technology. Like every booth except us and a few people were a technology company. And it's overwhelming for, a firm owner who's listening. You can probably understand what I'm talking about. There's 8 million different accounting softwares. Which ones do you do? Which ones do you choose? I was just on a phone actually with a current client of mine, and she had 12 to narrow down. And I don't remember what part it is for her firm, but how do you overcome this intimidation of technology so someone can implement these strategies to have the confidence and competence to do it more efficiently in their firm? What would you say are like one or two things someone could do today, Roger, that would really benefit them on getting past this fear of technology, the intimidation of technology, yet the efficiencies on the competence side, like you were sharing earlier when we defined what the second part was of competence, and it's to do work efficiently. What could they do today to start making this subtle change? Because I understand it took Sherry a whole year to make these changes. And once we're used, and to be honest, human beings don't like change.
Mhm.
So we got that against us too.
Well, there's a few things. First of all, great question, because I think this is truly something that everybody's facing or dealing with at one level or another. So the first thing that I would want to clarify is part of the challenge that's faced with technology is there's three players going on in this, and you've got to be aware of each of the three players. One is you, the business owner. You've got to be looking at what is the priority that I need to be automating? And, the old talk was, a few years ago, going paperless. What are we doing to simply automate and leverage technology? Well, as a business owner, your perspective is cost and training and implementation. There's a few variables you got to look at. The next is, if you have staff, it's how are they going to embrace it? Is it something that is scary? They think it's eliminating their job? Is it something that is going to be exciting, or is it overwhelming, meaning it's just hard to roll out and implement? And then the third is, how is this going to affect your relations with your clients? Is this something that they're going to have to log into and they are going to have to use? Is this something that you're going to now have to ask them to participate in while it's being implemented? So those three questions, I think, are the beginning ones. The next set of question comes from, is what we're looking at technology wise benefiting your clients? Meaning, are we bringing it to them to say it's going to improve their onboarding, their experience with us, getting us documentations that we're needing, and all of a sudden are we going to be able to train them well? Or is this purely an internal application? Is this something that only we internally are going to log into, use, and utilize? That's the second question. Is the client going to be impacted? Is it for us? Is it for them? The third is really where you address now the shiny syndrome. There's shiny object syndrome, the squirrel analogy, which is, I think there's a lot when you go to maybe a trade show like we were both at, and there's a lot of different technologies and things, and you're wondering, well, is this what I should be researching and learning and implementing? Well, the easiest way to answer that question is, first of all, in your business, what is the thing that's consuming your time that is not currently automated? Or what have you taken the time to maybe create, maybe like an Excel flow or something, where you've tried to internally create something, but obviously this isn't your wheelhouse. And so you're just kind of trying to tape together something internally. Well, there's plenty of firms out there that have identified best practices, and there's companies out there that have tried to create systems to automate those things. Well, if you can see in your business what's consuming a lot of your time, what may be old school, that may involve paper trails or a lot of emails and so forth, there are typically today systems that you can actually pay now to implement in your company that automate, systematize, manage those things. And so you can look at project management software, you can look at document sharing software, you could look at software that's related to payroll, perhaps. You could be dealing with things that help with reconciliations, with forecasting and budgeting. I mean, there's a lot of technologies out there that if you found that you were currently spending time in your business, maybe too much time doing this, but it was a core part of your company, it may be worth your while to go to a trade show or begin looking online for solutions that have figured out a best practice approach to this, that you could merely pay a small fee, implement in your business, and really take whatever you're doing now to another level, merely because of the fact that you've implemented in the company now this new system.
Yeah. And for like Sherry or others that you've seen, how many, especially the ones who are intimidated by technology and it's just overwhelming, how many new technology components do you recommend one add to their firm? Again, strategies to getting more confidence that you're the best for that client, but also the competence in doing this efficiently in their firm. So have you found a magic number as to how many different areas they have to, like the, bare bones minimums on the efficiency side?
Yeah, so I've actually found that this is different per firm that I've worked with. There's not like a cookie cutter approach, but I'm going to answer your question this way. Oftentimes what I'm looking at is it takes longer to train and implement, to roll out this new platform than you expect. So if you're talking to the company itself and they're telling you, oh yeah, we've got this onboarding process that we can get your team trained and you using this within your business or with your clients in 3 weeks. double it. It's going to take you
Mhm.
that much longer because inevitably you're going to have interruptions. You're going to have other things that are going to become a priority while you're launching and learning and training on this
Yeah.
platform. And so it's going to take you longer to implement. The second thing is they're looking at it from a standpoint of, yes, we've done this with other firms, but this is how it's supposed to work if you give us your undivided attention, and we just can't give it. So the first thing is time. It's just going to take longer than you expect.
Mhm.
Second thing is I have seen instances where you're asking the question, how many of these different platforms and tools should we be using?
Yeah.
You may over time be using 2 or 3 or 4 of these, but as you roll them out, I would do one at a time.
Mhm.
Honestly, if you're doing two, it becomes somewhat chaotic. You don't know the first, you're rolling out the second, and it's just chaotic. I have found it
Mhm.
best to roll out one, become comfortable with it, fully integrate it, and once you're familiar with it, you can bring in the second, and then you can tie the two together, and you're not learning two platforms or systems at once. You're learning a second one once you've already mastered the first. And when I say master, I mean that loosely. I mean you're comfortable with, you're
Yeah.
competent with it. Master, they're going to come out with an update. They're going to come up with some new shiny thing that they're adding to their platform that you're going to need to learn. So there's always that evolution. But if you can at least go one at a time, I feel that it's a more
Yeah.
enjoyable
That's smart.
experience and it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, it's less overwhelming and less intimidating for those that
Yep.
are intimidated for sure.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that, Roger. Is there anything else that you think would be a good strategy for someone listening who, not only wants to build that confidence and that they're the best firm for that client sitting in front of them, but also the competence piece to be more efficient and be able to deliver and have that confidence even in their competence,
Oh, yes.
one within the other to increase revenue. How much revenue did Sherry increase, by the way? Can you share some numbers?
You bet. So in her example, I'm going to share two things. One, she obviously saw a decrease in the time commitment that she was needing to make. So for her, because we changed her pricing, she was able to keep the revenue for her clients the same and then decrease the amount of time it was taking. So she immediately started to see a win in the sense that she was working less and making the same. The second came from in that pricing change, we did actually start working towards increasing the revenue for the services that she was providing. So she saw obviously a net gain in the revenue. So now she's working less and making more. So it's kind of hard. If you're looking at it from a revenue increase, she was looking at nearly a 1/4% increase. So that's 25% more revenue. But at the same time, she's working less. And so she's
How
got a
much
spread
less?
there.
Yeah.
She was working as much as 10 hours less a week. So for her, that was a big deal. I mean, she was working well over 40 and now she's working, as much as 40 hours a week. So she felt like she had just received a breath of fresh air. She got her weeknights back, weekends back. So for her, it was fine. She was happy. And at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, she had the increase. So if you've got the 25% increase in revenue, while at the same time decreasing the amount of time she's working, for her, she just felt like she hit the jackpot. She was just happy. So
Yeah.
that's the experience that you're looking for. And I know that you're big on pricing and such. So
Yes.
all of a sudden, what's happening is you're taking first the person who's not charging enough and giving them a pay increase, but you're also saying you're working too hard. You need to figure out how to systemize this and give them permission to work less. Well, all of a sudden, because their compensation is not timed to their hourly rate, they feel okay working less and they're winning on both sides of the spectrum. And so for her, it was as if she just made, like I said, a jackpot here because she was
Mm-hmm.
working less and making much more. So that's the answer to that. Your question a moment ago, though, that I do want to answer, there's really two things that are going on here. Sometimes people, when they're speaking with me, are wondering, well, where should I be focused? What do I need to work on? What comes first, the competence or the confidence? And it's kind of an interesting question because a lot of the confidence does come from your ability to do the work. I mean, if you're going to tell a client that you're going to do the tax planning and preparation, the I'm going to improve your profits and I'm going to give you these financial. I mean, there's a lot that has to do with your skills to provide the work itself. So your confidence does come from your knowledge of what services you're providing. I have to give you that much. But so much of the confidence does come from your ability to properly market and sell your services. And if you are confident it comes out in the marketing and sales that you're doing. You're going to land the clients that you get. And then once you've got the client, now the game switches. No longer is it you're positioning yourself as an expert in the solution to the client's needs. Now it's, can you deliver? And so it switches from that confidence to, are you going to actually deliver for the client, like you said? And this is your chance to over deliver on what it is you sold them on. And so the competence comes in. And what we're trying to do is now bring value to that relationship. And hopefully you're doing it in a way that you're able to not just make money, but over time become more efficient to earn more money. And so it's kind of a chicken and an egg thing. It depends on each client. Sometimes I'll work with individuals where their confidence is amazing. They have a great presence. They have the certifications that give them the confidence to go out there and meet with clients. They've got the experience. But from a CPA to an EA, they just don't know how to deliver. And it's like, well, what's the workflow? How do I onboard? How do I actually work with the client? How often do I meet with them? When I meet with them, what do I talk about? Well, that's the competence side of it. That's the delivery. Yeah. For others, it's the complete opposite. They love the work. They can do the work. But unless you have paying customers, I don't care how good you are, unless you have somebody paying you for your work, who cares how good you are? And so we got to go to the confidence level and get you the clients that you need. So it's a unique conversation with everyone I speak with as to where we're going to start. But I do have to admit that a lot of the confidence does come from the the confidence comes from the competence side, but that's just the nature of the discussion. So I think I answered that earlier question of yours.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And I would align with that. So thank you for that. Is there anything else, Roger, that you think would be benefit for listeners who might be overwhelmed with technology? It's very intimidating. Changing this whole efficiency part, going away from hourly sounds like the most horrific, terrifying thing. But ways that they can improve the confidence, because like you said, the confidence comes from the competence. So it seems like, and from what I'm understanding and from all the students I've worked with too here at the Abundant Accountant, the competence piece on the delivery and over delivering and under promising, making sure I got my words correct today, is really an important factor to this piece. Is there anything else that you would love to share today with the listeners, and maybe something that worked with Sherry that we haven't talked about yet?
You bet. So one of the things that really worked with Sherry and a lot of the other conversations I have is what we refer to as mapping the business. As business owners, we've got a lot on our plate. There's a lot of things that we're trying to manage and oversee. And the first thing I think we need to do is just basically try and organize our thoughts and prioritize what's going on. So the process of organizing, we implement the principles of MAP. We cluster these things that are on our mind, that are weighing us down, that are keeping us up at nights, into either marketing and sales, what we're doing to grow the business, the accounting, which is the services we're providing and what it is we're offering the clients, and what is it that they receive from our doing the work we do. And then it's the production. It's how we're working efficiently and profitably. It's the systems we implement to ensure that we're taking care of the clients in a timely way and getting paid well. Well, if you can organize your thoughts, you can then prioritize them. What's the priority today I need to be doing that's related to marketing and sales? What's the priority today that I can be implementing to ensure that we're offering the quality services that our clients need to help them in their business? What are the things I'm doing behind the scenes, part of our internal operations, to ensure we're being profitable and efficient? Well, if I can take those things that are on my mind, organize them, prioritize them, I can then now, the third thing is delegate. Find out, well, is there something I can really put onto somebody else's plate? Either they're better at it than I am. Is it maybe outsourcing it where I pay someone else to come in and help? Or is it me admitting I need to do it, but I need some training to do it better? At that point, you're at a point where all of this that's in your mind overwhelming you, you've been able to put it out on paper, organize it, prioritize it, delegate it, perhaps outsource it. That exercise for a lot of people becomes mapping. Very, very helpful. So mapping is huge. That really helps Sherry, because I think there's a lot on everyone's plate, mine included, and it's kind of nice to kind of sit down and just kind of get that processed. Then after you've done that, it's addressing, well, where's my gaps? Is it in my confidence? If I spoke to a business owner today, can I look at them as a peer and say, I can take care of your business? Or is it the competence? I get them as a client, they sign the engagement, I've got them as a client, but where do I start? What's my onboarding? It's chaotic. I get my clients frustrated just in the first month because I'm not seamless. Or is it I work with them for 2 months and I'm not over delivering and they don't see the value in what I'm providing? Well, I need to look at the competence of my delivery, because the big secret here within the accounting world is client retention.
Yep.
You can get a client, but if you're not retaining them, that's where the money is made. The money isn't made on the monthly fees or the yearly tax services we're providing. It's honestly made in the recurring business that we're able to generate. And so if you're not retaining your clients, wowing them, having them give you referrals, you're missing the boat. And so what we got to do is then address that competence side. And so it's kind of like a juggle. I mean, you might be spending this quarter on confidence related issue, next quarter competence related issue, and you go back and forth.
Is there any technology, Roger, that you would recommend for mapping out the business, or something to walk a firm owner through if they want to go through this process on their own right now? Is there anything that you would recommend?
I would recommend a book that we've written. So I hope this is appropriate for the audience here.
Talk about the book.
So the book's called In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. And literally it's in there that we're discussing this process of mapping the business. And it's through the book that we show how these principles are literally tied to short term, what you should be doing this week, this month, midterm, this quarter, maybe this year, and then long term, this year and longer. And as we chunk those things down, they become more manageable. You're able to, as a business owner, really see what needs your attention today. And so literally mapping the business, we break it down into these 9 elements, and it becomes easily something that you can now, as a business owner, manage and build your business around. And it literally does, as it says, in the black. It's nine principles to keep your business in the black. And that's speaking, I think, right to the accounting profession.
Definitely. Yeah. And they can get it on Amazon, I'm going to assume.
They can.
Okay.
If they want, they can go to our site and get a free copy of the ebook if you happen to be an ebook reader, and that would be perfectly fine.
Yeah. And in the ebook, you guys can, get to mapping right away. So thank you, Roger, so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant podcast. It was an honor to have you, and I think a really great, start for especially those who are completely overwhelmed with technology and intimidated by it. I think this is a good thing, and really taking, one technology thing at a time and not implementing more than one until it's put into place, I think is fantastic. So thank you for being here. It was an honor to have you.
Michelle, it was a privilege. I appreciate the conversation. You asked some great questions, and I hope that what we're doing here is literally helping the accounting profession.
I've been told. I've gotten a lot of people saying, Michelle, I listen to your podcast on the 1st and the 15th of every month, and I've increased my fees. I've done this. I've done that. I'm like, cool. I don't know you, but that's awesome, and that's what I'm here to do is, have people like Roger here or other guests, and even myself just help those that we're never going to work with one-on-one. Some people implement what we talk about, and that's what this is about. So go download his ebook, go to the mapping, write out all the things that keep you up at night that drive you nuts, and start, delegating and start organizing and start prioritizing.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you, Roger.
You bet. Hey, take care. Have a great day, Michelle.
Thank you all so much for joining Roger and I today on another amazing episode on the Abundant Accountant podcast. And, if you are feeling terrified of the technology and overwhelmed by it all, and you're losing sleep, and this vicious cycle of pleasing clients and feeling powerless is really eating at you, then I recommend to book a call. Let's see how we can really not only apply some of the ideas that Roger even talked about today, but other things like charging premium fees and having clients appreciate you for the value that you offer, and having that confidence when speaking to clients to have the competence to deliver the work. So if that's you, then head on over to theabundantcall.com. And also, we'd be grateful if you left a written review on Apple Podcast or Spotify, or even my website. So if you've got an extra 30 seconds today, feel free to leave a written review and share with us how this podcast has helped transform your firm. I look forward to speaking to some of you. And if not, I will see you on the next episode here at the Abundant Accountant podcast. Thanks so much for listening.